Dobar dan svima i dobrodošli na 15. izdanje u našoj seriji Innovation Space webinara. Kao što ste mogli da vidite u najavi, moje današnje sagovornice ne govore srpski, which is why this is as far as I'll go in Serbian, and we'll be switching to English. For those of you who have followed our online events in the past couple of months, you know that we created Innovation Space webinars as a way to emphasize the importance of embracing innovation, as a way to transform our businesses. And in the past weeks, especially, we also took the opportunity to introduce you to some of the biggest names in the field of innovation consultancy and business design. A few technical details. First and foremost, we cannot see you and we cannot hear you, but that's no reason to not engage in the discussion. So there is a chat section here where we will be able to share the important links. And also there is the Q&A section. You can ask questions directly, or you can go incognito for that matter. It's all the same to us. We're also less than a week away from our third day and final day of Corporate Innovation Conference, which will be dedicated to championing innovation and finding ways to just empower the company from within, nurturing an entrepreneurial mindset and supporting employees in their efforts to innovate. We'll be joined by the likes of Tendai Vicky, Filip Horvat, Hans Balmakers, our last Innovation Space guest also, Elina Želeva. And those are just some of the experts you'll get a chance to hear. With that in mind, one of my guests today is also one of the speakers on day 3. Irina Martynova, Head of Corporate Direction at Generation S, is here with us. And Anna Larionova, who is the Manager of Innovation Development at Lenta, which is one of the biggest retail chains in Russia. Irina, Anna, greetings from still a bit of a sunny Belgrade. So what's the weather like in Moscow?
Hello. It's cold. It's really cold and snowy. So it will be great to have some sun today.
Okay, so and it will be great to have some snow as well here, but let's wait for December. We don't need it just yet. So now, before we move on to our conversation about the corporate accelerators and dissect the whole process, I would like for you both to introduce our audience to your respective companies, and then tell us a bit more about how this collaboration between Lenta and Generation S came to be, and how long was it in the making, actually. Irina, we can start with you.
Okay, so hi Jelena, hi all once again. My name is Irina Martynova and I'm the Head of Corporate Direction in Generation S Accelerator. It's the accelerator that is a part of Russian venture companies. So actually we have some funds under management and we have and provide consultant services for various corporate innovation programs. Being a part of Generation S team, my role is to help corporates build their own effective and unique innovation programs. It's not only the acceleration programs, it can be like building the innovation center or building the innovation hub or building the innovation strategy. So we need to, of course, to have the team, to have some metrics and to be sure that our way will be efficient. I'm very glad that Lenta has become one of our partners because Lenta has a unique business that is developing in Russia and further. They are more than open to work with lots of startups, not only Russian ones. And there, I think I should pass the word to Anna to present herself and tell a few words about Lenta and us.
Perfect.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm glad to be a part of this conference. First of all, let me say thank you to organizers. It's a very good conference, I guess. And thank you, Irina Martynova and her team. We built this cooperation just recently and we achieved good results, and we'll tell you about them later today. I'm a manager of innovation development at the company. Our innovation center is 1 year old. And we are looking for innovative technologies that can differentiate our company from competitors in the Russian market, that can facilitate workflow and enhance our in-store operations. As for Lenta, let me tell you some facts. Lenta is the largest hypermarket retail chain in Russia. We operate 250 hypermarkets and 180 138 supermarkets in 88 cities. We serve 16 million loyal card holders, and I'll tell you today in detail. And Lenta is more than just a store.
Perfect. An inspirational way to begin this story. So back to you, Irina. I suppose that prior to starting this project, your team did some research. So how did you actually perceive the business progress made by retail companies in 2020? Were there any significant highs or lows you would single out that just kind of felt important when you try to build, let's say, further ground for Lenta and the accelerator itself?
Yeah, so I think it wouldn't be a secret that 2020 and all this corona crisis, they have changed the way people and companies behave overall, not only in retail, but in other sectors as well. And for sure, some companies have already transformed their business model into the best way to suit current situation. I just think that I could point out some trends and changes that we see, like from our side, being a corporate innovation platform and accelerator regarding the retail sector. First of all, if we look ahead, I think that after the pandemic, business owners that have multiple sales channels like online and offline, both e-stores and offline stores, will need to synchronize everything they have. And of course, during this time, we see how the e-commerce and some kind of POC integration will be like the optimal solution for doing that. The second point that we analyzed and we think of is something that regarding augmented shopping and shopping assistance as well. We know that both IKEA and Amazon, they are using different kits here. So they're using VR and AR. They're using a lot of techniques to ensure that customer can visualize everything. But now it's moving on to the retailers. And of course, in Russia, we see how companies would like to pilot VR and AR technologies everywhere. So it could be an offline solution. It could be online solution. So it's like the second trend and the second point. Thirdly, I think that all stuff connected with data science and everything connected with personal integration are in like our focus and focus of different retailers so far, because these tools allow all that different digital transformation happen. And of course, it includes computer vision, it includes various systems, it includes machine learning, etc., etc. So everything that could synchronize all that people use in everyday life. Just adding some statistics here. Of course, I've already mentioned that everything regarding the e-commerce is booming right now. And I think one of the researches I read prior to this webinar was regarding that for 6 months, like the figure of people who use online shopping is just doubled from 30 to 60% overall in Russia. And more than 40% based on this corona crisis and isolation, they tried a new brand while being isolated actually. So that is like the overview of what we see in retail, but of course I need to say, and I will say it once again, I think this webinar and next webinar as well, that all retailers also have its own strategy how they would like to develop their services. If there will be, for example, free delivery, or if there will be any other barrier, this also refers to innovation. So when we talk about the innovation strategy, it's also unique for each and every retailer and each and every corporate partner as well.
Yeah, we will definitely touch a bit more on technology later on in our discussion. And I must say, I agree, because I see that the trend with customers is changing just on basis of my own example, because beforehand it was maybe only me that was doing the online shopping. Now I can see my parents do it. I can see my neighbors do it. So, like the older generation are really getting on board just because they understand the seriousness of the situation and just some limitations that come with this sort of crisis.
Yeah.
And now moving on to Anna's point of view. So do you think that 2020, when we speak about the health crisis, did it actually help the innovation efforts, or did it boost them in certain ways when it comes to retail? So, you know, like what retail business segment did you see innovation most likely to happen when you started the talks with Generation S, or even before that?
So, Corona crisis is also a good question now. Of course, Lent, as many other retailers and even other industries faced challenges. But you know, we went on piloting projects during the pandemic. It's a pity we cannot spend much time physically in stores, but our team is able to manage the process remotely. And when it comes for technologies, let me tell you a good example. We used to work with computer vision, with video analytics, and we used it for shelf recognitions in our stores. But during the pandemic, we started to use it to monitor queues and social distance among customers and stores, among employees in the offices. In general, when it comes to technologies, we see them most likely in the segments of products, operations, and of course, new services. We have a lot of loyal card holders, and we need to investigate the client behavior, and we need to retain loyal customers, and of course, attract new customers. And you know, one more important point, despite of the pandemic, Lent, and to address the challenges of Russian retail market, Lent launched the transformation process, and the process is touching the whole organization. And you know, our Center of Innovation became one of the key pillars of this transformation process, and that's really good. And we're looking for technologies that can differentiate us from competitors. And this is one of our main goals.
So if we would actually picture this on a business model canvas, so you invest the biggest amount of your time and effort in building customer relationships and actually adding the value props by making technology a key resource for Lenta throughout the organization.
Yeah, correct, absolutely.
Perfect. Okay, so now, you know, with that overview in mind, when we move closer to the topic at hand, an accelerator as the tool, the two companies actually chose to deliver to customers and startups as well. So Irina, what would you say is the key point when you pitch corporate accelerators to companies? How do you rate their understanding and just their readiness to embrace it as a method, as a tool? And, you know, just how does it reflect on your local corporate environment?
Okay, first of all, when you pitch any innovation subject to someone within or to external organization, you should think of the value you bring with it. Because if you do not see that value, there won't be any success coming out of it. Because first of all, you need to ensure that people see the value around from innovation or corporate accelerator. So it's not always an easy process, because we have like 50-50% of those corporate that are aware of innovation, that know how to work with innovation, how to work with startups, how to work with internal businesses, etc. But from the other hand, other 50% are just making the first step and preparing some kind of innovation strategy, and they do not know how to work with innovation, and they do not know what the team should be, etc. So there are usually different values for each of the groups. So for the first group, it's usually more regarding some kind of metrics. It's more about the results. It's more about how the innovations could, and acceleration, of course, could positively affect their businesses, etc. And for the other group, it's more like to test, to pilot, to see and develop the corporate culture, to see how the team and internal team will implement innovation. So they're basically two different levels of development. As for Lenta, of course, colleagues know, and colleagues have already worked with innovation, I should say, so it wasn't a problem. We have the exact task we worked on, we have the exact, view new that we worked on, and it was like very, very easier than usually we work with corporations.
And just a follow-up question. Okay, so you mentioned it was easier to work with Lenta, given that Anna also told us, that it's been like a year in the making with Innovation Center formed. But in just the Generation S experience, even before working with Lenta as a retailer. So what is the company profile? So what is the company that is ready to embark on that accelerator journey? Have you had any like examples in your portfolio that the company wasn't digitally transformed, but they just wanted to give this format a try? Or are there certain preconditions that they actually need to, let's say, check before they do the accelerator?
So first of all, we try to ensure that the corporate partner has the right team, because it could be a team that may have the background or innovations or something like that, but there are some cases when the person or the project manager has never worked in innovation. So we usually try to ensure that there is a team, at least of 2-3 people that we start working on. Secondly, we try to see the overall strategy of the company and just have a view where the innovation could be a part of it, the strategy actually. So it's like also the second tip for us. The third tip for us, we look at the previous background. We see how the company just developed their any of some kind of technologies or new approaches and new businesses, and see whether they are open to open innovation actually, and would like to work with startups as well. But we work once again with different cases, and it's absolutely okay if your company do not know and haven't a chance worked with innovations before.
Yeah, and now Anna, back to you again. So you mentioned the importance of just your leadership embracing the idea of open innovation, and that was something that you were working on even before collaboration with the Generation S. So why did Lenta go for the accelerator program in the first place? Because in the past, especially in the past couple of months, we've seen like maybe what we would say an easier way to go with, you being a startup scout, or maybe the company considering merge and acquisition, even internal idea challenges that are booming right about now. So why was it the accelerator that took the prevail?
Thank you for the question. Our team is also very experienced, and we, of course, we use the different tools of open innovation models, and we build partnership with Generation S. It's a really good experience, and also we did an accelerator ourselves recently during the pandemic. Early in April, we launched the competition called Safe Store. We were focused mostly on safe environment and food safety. And we found a lot of technologies. We got 140 projects from 7 countries around the world. And that accelerator also became an international one. And we're really proud of it. For project teams presented their pitches at the final session. 4 of them became winners, and we found really interesting projects: how to monitor the social distance, how to take temperature remotely, then some projects on food safety, and so on. As for another initiatives, also we use open resources, internet. We have some subscriptions to databases, local and international. And one more important point, Lenta is a part of Sever Group. Sever Group is a private investment company in Russia that manages assets of a number of businesses. And in particular, we collaborate with an online hypermarket called Ukoliko. It's a well-known company in Russia, and with Severstyle, it's also a big and well-known steel and mining company in Russia. We share our databases. Startups. Yeah, we share experience how to work with innovation projects. And of course, we try to encourage our employees to bring their own ideas, and that's all about our project we are really proud of. It's called Lenta Up. It's connected with internal entrepreneurship. We will invite our staff to bring ideas how to improve processes, and we sure that they, in their daily routine, understand our key competitive advantages.
Perfect. So when Innovation Center came to be, I suppose that Lenta Up was actually one of the first projects, because you tried to empower the organization from within. What would you say were the results from those first initiatives? Like, did you maybe implement some of those ideas? How did it help boost Lenta's innovation efforts?
You mean by Lenta Up?
Yes.
The project is not launched yet, but almost everything is ready for launching. We prepared an IT system. We just prepared a concept, and we are waiting for the start and keep our fingers crossed.
Okay, so fingers crossed it goes as well as the accelerator process, of course. So now that we touched upon the reasoning behind the whole collaboration, I would just like to move on a bit and touch upon the technology before we discuss a bit more the process of accelerator itself. So technology is always a big part when engaging with startups. We cannot deny that. Russia, Serbia, internationally, it goes without saying. So first, I would like to ask, just both of you, but maybe firstly Anna, because she's been monitoring closely the teams. So on which front do the startups actually deliver the most? So you mentioned a lot of technologies that are swirling around, but is it, do you look for something that is more UX design focused, or maybe focused on data analytics? Is it only software development? Like, what is the best mix, and what is singling out for Lenta nowadays?
We are focused on technologies. They are the base of well-known innovative solutions nowadays. These are artificial intelligence, AR, VR, computer vision, machine learning, and so on. But that's not only about IT. We are focused on projects in direction of food safety. I told you we're looking for such technologies during our Safe Store accelerator, and there is a good example. Now Lenta started to pilot an active antibacterial agent, and the theory sounds, if the project is successful, then the agent can conserve food freshness in 2 times. And it could be really disruptive technology for Russia, and we're waiting for results now, and they are coming, if I'm not mistaken, in November. And coming back to technologies, so IT, let me tell you a good example. We use computer vision with machine learning to detect planograms of our shelves inside stores. We need to find empty spaces on shelves to fill them in with products in the right way. And we audit planograms as well. If something is not correct, the system sends alerts to employees, and they need to go and change the layout of products in the right way. So we can automate our processes firstly, and release time of our employees secondly. So what else? So we are piloting now self-service skills based on image recognitions of goods. Then we investigated some cases of using smart trolleys in stores. We did not pilot those technologies yet, but just calculated cases and maybe later. And we also focused on technologies connected with the back office. For example, we are working on digital workplace for employees, and now we are preparing a pilot with a startup that can bring additional staff, I mean merchandisers, cashiers on busy hours. Also very important.
talking about tips for the retailers that are joining us for this webinar. I think that we can all take a hint or two when discussing what to do next. Irina, now back to you. Generation S has worked with many companies across industries. We can firmly say so. How do you actually secure the right match between startups and corporates? Like, do you have a stance on white label solutions versus customized ones? How do you just bridge that gap between startups and corporates?
So, as you know, while building any of innovation programs, you have several steps to achieve. So, first of all, on the preparation stage, we try to approve all the criteria and all the directions we are working on, because it's very important what stage is a startup, for example, or what direction is a startup will be, to ensure the right match. This is like the beginning of it. Then when we work with startups, we try to formulate the preliminary business case for the corporate partners. So when we take the presentation out of the startup, it's of course better to see at least one slide with somehow of piloting or just some description of potential cooperation with this corporate partner or with Lens in this case. So it's like the better match in the second step. So, and then we have like the top of the rating. For example, if we have 200 startups, we will take maybe 30 or 40 the best ones from it. And then the startups have a chance to pitch themselves actually before the acceleration program to ensure that all the experts or all the business customers understand the technology correctly and present their business case they would like to pilot with our customer corporate client. So basically, this is how it works. On each step, we have some kind of criteria or some kind of matchings we would like to do with the startups and corporations as well, of course. And then usually the pipeline becomes more like concrete, I should say, regarding the startup matching. So when it comes to the acceleration program, of course, there are all the startups that match.
I just lost you for a second there. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Just if you can rewind maybe 3 to 5 seconds that we had, or maybe just me that I had a glitch in the sound. So we can just.
It's okay. So I just repeat that building the acceleration program, it's very important to have several steps and several criteria for each step we are working on, based on the preparation stage, based on the scouting stage, and based on the acceleration stage or evaluation stage. So for each of the stage, you, like us, should have some criteria that I've already mentioned before.
Perfect. And to tie in with the tech background that Anna mentioned, and just the technologies that she pointed out, where do you as a team, or maybe you even personally, see the biggest disruption, and how do you think it will be led? Like, is it really based on this amazing technology that we've heard, or is it maybe some other aspect of business?
I think that could be both ways, but as Anna mentioned, one kind of technology regarding storage, I think that technology could potentially bring a disruption. And usually on the Russian market, we see the disruption most when the company is starting to invest into something that is not the core of their business. For example, if you're a retailer, you should invest not in only in e-commerce or something like that, but try to look at technologies that are maybe cross-functional, or they could be in other industries, but these technologies could be also used in some cases, being a retailer. So usually the disruption comes from it. It comes from the cross-functionality. It comes from broader horizon you have when you're looking at technologies, and that's where I agree with Anna regarding the disruption.
Okay, we'll stay with you, Irina, in just a moment. So if we talk about the process in itself, and I know that there are people here who would like to dive deep into the backstory of how you organize the accelerator. How do you plan the phases of just the delivery when it comes to the process? What is the most helpful info when you try to list some of the initial KPIs? What is the criteria that you advise a company client to apply?
Okay, so usually if we're talking about the overall acceleration that could usually last from 6 months to 1 year, we have for about 5 phases. So the first one, it's like the preparation stage. Here we define like our results, our KPIs, what we would like to achieve at the end, like all the goals, all the settings, like it's for preparation stage. Here we have some technical tasks like preparing the landing page or making some marketing campaigns. So it's like a 1 month of doing all the settings and overall setup of the program. Then we have the scouting. Scouting is the stage that we fully work on because I think it's one of the most important. It's maybe even more important than the acceleration itself, because the pipeline you are getting is actually represents the future success of the program. Here we have a team inside of Generation S. We have several analytics that work with different databases, that work with actually our community, that work with infrastructure. By infrastructure, I mean universities, I mean science centers, etc. Just to be sure that we use all the channels to scout startups. And then we have the pipeline, and we use actually our own CRM for doing that. But actually, there are lots of products and services you could do while scouting startups. Then we have the evaluation stage. We evaluate by our team, by external experts, and then the corporate experts stand for the evaluation as well. So it's like several steps to evaluate all the startups. And then actually we have the acceleration and finishing stage. Based on the each stage, we have, of course, like some minor KPIs we would like to achieve. For scouting, it's of course the number of startups attracted, because before every scouting campaign, we prepare the analysis and we evaluate as a team how many startups we could bring to the client. So it's very, very important to make this prior step to analyze everything in order to make sure you can scout the startups as a team. Then we have the number of startups that pass our, we call it like pre-moderation. It's something we are working when we are actually ensuring that the startup passes all the criteria. For example, the startup has the technology is ready to pilot, the startup has at least one pilot done, or maybe sales done. So we have several of them, and I've just pointed out a few. Then an evaluation stage comes to us, and here actually the main goal is to make the best startups go further, actually see how they interact and how they get attention from the experts, both external ones and of course both corporate ones, because the corporate experts are actually the business customers. They are assessing the startup based on their own experience and based on their readiness, I should say, to pilot the startups inside of the corporation. So basically, this is the main KPI to find this match between the customers and between the startups as well. Then we have the some kind of pitch session I've already told you about. It's like the event where we choose from 40, let me say, startups to 10 startups that will go into acceleration program. The figures could be different. It's like just every corporate partner has unique programs. So it could be 50-10, it could be 50-30, it could be, I don't know, 70-30. We also had that. So everything differs. And then in the acceleration stage, there is a piloting stage usually. It's not about the educational programs. It's not about some, packaging your product or service. It's about matching with the customer needs, and it's about to getting the client for startup. because the piloting is the stage where the startup is actually has an opportunity to make the corporation his client. So basically it works like that. And at this stage, of course, there is a number of successful pilots, there is a number of hypotheses tested. It also depends on the program. We try to create personalized KPIs, customized KPIs for each program as well, because I just described you a process, how it works from our side, but I need to say that for each stage, it's very, very crucial to work with the corporation, because on every stage there is a corporate expert, there is corporate managers that they actually participate in scouting campaign. They are assessing startups before, for example, the evaluation as well. So on the scouting stage, they see how many startups we have, what are the technologies, etc., etc. And then this is like the joint process of developing this innovation program.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we also here try to delve on, because we always say that it's important to be customer centric, and for Lenta as well, it can mean just kind of changing or boosting, transforming customer experience, but also maybe employee experience if there's a startup that comes up with an idea that can transform a process from within. But now, Anna, in Lenta's case, where did the idea for the accelerator originate? So was it the C-level? Was it the innovation center? Was it the combination of different management factors?
It was exactly the idea of Innovation Center. We have a team, a brilliant and experienced team consisting of 9 people. We all are coming from different sectors with different experience working with innovations in Russia and abroad. And we understand pretty good the local innovation infrastructure. We know a lot of startups, and it makes us go global. So we launched decided to launch the accelerator program. We're sure that Generation S is a very experienced partner, and we proved it. And we have a very good results. We got about 300 relevant applications. Now we are at the stage of expertise. And by the end of the year, we are going to organize, to finalize the expertise first step. Expertise by Lenta business experts, and we'll organize the final pitch session where we'll select the best projects, and we are going to pilot those projects in the beginning of the next year.
And so, what's the walkthrough of the whole process from your side? So, what were some of the resources that you needed to allocate to begin with? I mean, I know it's always the financial ones, but what else did it take to make this work and to really get people on board?
The number one priority is again a team. There are about 20 people in our team. I mean, accelerator team, our innovation team, then team of Generation S, and experts from Lenta. Of course, we need other resources, and we're sure we created a pretty friendly innovation environment in our company, and we invite startups to cooperate with Lenta. We are open. What we did, we allocated our own innovation budget. We approved so-called fast track process, so we don't need any additional approvals by top managers for to get just budget, and we have innovation team who is in charge of scouting and piloting, and allocated IT team who is in charge of piloting, who assists us in this process.
And Irina, how do you make sure that startups actually get the most out of accelerators? Because I mean, I know Lenta comes from the client side, so of course they have certain tasks. They're on a mission to get something done and to really get to that solution that will solve certain customer problems. But is there a way to measure the impact on the overall innovation ecosystem when you're talking with startups, when you're scouting them, when you're trying to see how they react to this opportunity?
Yeah, for sure. So it's a very interesting question, actually. When you scout international startups, being a Russian partner or a Russian company, a lot of startups do not know about us or about Lenta. I should say that quite honest. So it's like the tricky question, and it's like the difficulties we are working with. But if you come next time, having some cases, having some successful pilots, successful deals, there will be even more, applications and even more desire to work with corporations. So it's basically how it works. So first of all, it's like the awareness of innovation in the exact company and the success with innovation. So startups need to know what they experienced before we came as Generation S and ask them or scout them into this pipeline. So it's very, very important to persuade startups into this. And so next year, when Lenta comes to international startup, they will be much open than now, for example. So I think this is the main point here. But talking about how we work with startups, it's usually we try to be the third party that is like the friend that would like to help both startups and the corporation. And we try to define whether the pilot is going correctly or not, because there can be various situations and there could be maybe some misunderstanding between the startup or a corporation or the employee of this corporation. So we try to be the third party that could help define any question from the startup or from the corporation. That's how we work. So, and it's on the regular basis. So we have some checkups, usually at least 1 a week for each startup, or it could be even more. And it's like the something that we try to have the control on, but like very, very smoothly.
You're like the perfect matchmaker, actually.
We try to be.
Okay, so we've received a question from the audience, which actually relates to what I was going to ask Anna. So when you go through this process and you just plan for the day after everything is done, we have a question here that says, like, what are the main KPIs that Lenta has been following during these past phases, and how will you measure if the initiative is a success or not? So is it just the delivery of the projects that you will be choosing, or is there just like waking up those startup teams or spreading the word? What is it all that makes for a good mix?
So it's a good question. Actually, when we look at the project, now we consider just some minimum criteria. For us important minimum valuable projects or just a prototype, a team at least of 2 people, and intellectual property also desirable. And when it comes to pilots, I'm personally not in charge of piloting, but I can say that in the beginning, we determine some metrics and we are trying to achieve them. But if something is wrong during the pilot, we try to correct the scenario and just to use maybe another tool to achieve results.
Perfect. And as you mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, the third day of our conference is actually dedicated to innovation champions. And we're trying to put the focus on employees as the biggest asset of any company, ways we can help create and support those who are authentic innovators. So Anna, who are Lenta's innovation ambassadors? How was the accelerator team actually formed? You mentioned it's cross-functional. There's many of you that come with different backgrounds, but how did you actually form the team that you're now managing?
We try to encourage our employees to become Lenta's ambassadors, of course. That's why we invited our experts to become part of Accelerator program. And yeah, the team for the Accelerator is cross-functional, and we invited different representatives of different business functions to evaluate projects. And when we speak about team and again about the transformation process, it's all about the mental and cultural change. And the center of innovations Lenta tends to be in the center of expertise, bringing best practices and experience from technological leaders. And we are trying to promote innovation culture, of course, as a part of corporate culture. For that reason, we organize different meetups on topics, for example, robotics, medicine, food tech, and so on. And again, about the project Lenta Up, the same, we will try to encourage our staff to bring their ideas. Yeah, that's all.
Okay, so actually, you do not have to encourage employees to maybe branch out in this very accelerator, but they will have an opportunity to showcase their talents or their initiative in the project that is to come. So that's a great example of how you're trying to just move on from external programs to internal ones and handle it both excellently, if I might add. Irina, now, I mean, I know that the innovation sweet spot is actually going to be something you will address in your session next Wednesday. But could you tell us now just to what extent have accelerators opened up legacy businesses in Russia? Because we have these companies that we know all our lives. They've been present for decades. We are all using their products, but they need to adapt. They need to transform. They need to remain competitive. So how do you think accelerators actually help them in that?
I think they helped a lot. And I should say that we have some brand names in our portfolio as well. For example, we are working with PepsiCo right now. And in Russia, PepsiCo is not like the PepsiCo in USA. They have a lot of guidelines, they have a lot of restrictions, but they were willing to innovate. And they decided to build in Russia the innovation center as well. So I think the accelerators and some kind of this innovation instruments help develop the company, and of course make sure that each and every, even big brand, has its own opportunity to innovate, not depending on the country. So it basically should be depend on the innovation strategy, that every unit, any separate unit, should have the innovation strategy itself. So, and there is where we came from. So the point that we need to innovate, that these big brands also need some disruption, also need some startup they would like to cooperate with, and so basically accelerators help a lot.
Now, and I think the most important issue to tackle is how to educate and how to spread awareness. So how do you coach company representatives prior to them jumping aboard and just agreeing to do this project for you? Like, is there something like a guideline or a set of rules that could help them out with that? Irina?
I'm sorry, I've just lost you. Maybe on 1 second.
Just tell us when you can hear us, and I will repeat.
Yeah, it's perfect. So I just had the sorry.
Yeah, I was just trying to emphasize the importance of spreading awareness within companies, especially working with leaders and managers.
Okay.
And I was wondering, how do you coach company representatives? What is it that's ticks them to jump aboard? And if there is something that you share with them beforehand, like this is a set of rules that we need to go through, or is it just go with the flow and see if you can combine those important aspects and metrics?
It actually depends. So we do not always have the opportunity to coach or to work with top management. So it could be like, it depends on the project we are working on. But if we have the opportunity to have some kind of education or coaching sessions or something like that, we try to combine different methods. So usually we make the strategic session. It's usually 1 or 2 days just to have the deep dive in innovation in the current sector the company is working on, about their competitors, about the innovation models, about the importance of employees in these processes. And this is actually one of the the most crucial thing here. Then we have some online sessions, usually with invited experts from Russia and from abroad, to even more deep dive the top managers into innovation. And then we try to have some open meetings, for example, once a month, or once in 3 months, to present the preliminary results and to try to attract their attention to the, once again, employees that work on innovation, and of course attract their attention to the startups we are working with here in the acceleration program, and what can be the potential cases here, and of course what will be the overall results of innovation. So it's very important when you're working especially with top manager to have some kind of connection and to see whether they understand what's going on in innovation process, because it's not an easy thing to have the top manager that would encourage innovation in your company. So it's a must to have them on board with you.
And Anna, I've received a question through private chat, which can help us conclude the whole story on Lenta's side as well. So how do you see the next steps, and what is the biggest lesson that you're taking from the whole process? It says here, like, did you notice that there are some improvements you would make for next time you do this? Or is the takeaway from the whole process that you really think it delivered on all the fronts that you needed?
You mean during this accelerator program, yeah?
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm. It's a very good experience, and I can say that all our team, innovation team, are involved in working with this accelerator program. For example, just recently, yesterday, we got the first part of a project which we will forward to expertise. And the first thing we did, we shared all these projects also with our innovation team. We need to, for us, important to get a feedback from experts and from our team. Then we understand that it's necessary to organize some discussions with the startups, and Generation S offered us such a chance. For example, we organized 2 great webinars for different audience for startups. That was QA sessions, Lenta's presentations, and it's really a good experience, a good example.
Perfect. Another private chat question. This is for Irina, and we'll use that to close our get together. So what is the industry that you haven't dabbled in and that you would like to try? Just whether it's an accelerator, whether it's some other kind of initiative.
Yeah. So personally, I have a little bit of a dream to work with the diamond industry, because I worked for 3 years with mining and metals company, but it's more like it's not about diamonds, but when I see what, for example, it's not my passion, but it's very interesting when I take a look at the Beer's strategy, innovation strategy, and they have a lot of actually interesting things that could be used in other sectors as well. So that's just the industry I personally would like to work in and to have a deep dive. But in Generation S, we worked, I think, with the majority of industries we have. We have the cross-functional team that manages different sectors, for example, the metallurgy or the energy or the FMCG or the IT, etc. So here I had the huge experience working with corporate partners. But as for the diamond industry, it would be great to work here because it's really a very, very unique industry that is quite narrow, I should say, not in terms of money, but in terms of the innovations and development, and there is no much opportunities for cross-functional development, but it's like the very, very interesting point for me, to be honest.
Perfect. I like the again the inspiration theme and the tone of your answer. Thank you, Irina and Anna, both so much. This is about the time that we have for this get together. We've shared in the chats the link to more info about Lenta's accelerator and your collaboration, and we invite everyone to just go and check it out. It can also just redirect you to Generation S website and Lenta's website as well. It was really a wonderful and insightful talk. Thank you all for taking the time to join us. We hope to see you on November 25th from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Central European Time on day 3 of our Corporate Innovation Conference. And until then, Irina, Anna, have a great rest of the week, and a big hello to all that are following us and that have watched the stream, and hopefully will send us some comments and feedback on this session. Thank you.